This Art 302 video is going to take you through the elements of dance and movement. For example, actions, dynamics, space, relationships, and finally, design in space. So what exactly do we mean when we talk about the elements of dance? The elements are like the ingredients of dance. They are the concepts that combine to create dance. You can think of them as the building blocks of dance. Now, if you think back to the sections we did on music, the building blocks of music would be things like rhythm, melody, crotchets, quavers, semiquavers, rests, etc. And composers use those in a variety of ways to put together music. In the same way, dance has got building blocks that are combined in certain ways to create a certain feeling or a certain genre of dance. So even though different genres of dance might be totally unique, for example, if you were to compare ballet and gumboot dancing, they don't seem like they have much in common, yet all types of dance and movement make use of these concepts in different ways. And of this, Payne says, every movement has an action, dynamic, and spatial content, and when performed with someone else, a dance relationship. An example is two children running, and running here would be an action. Lightly is a dynamic, it tells us how they're running, along a zigzag path, that's the space that they're using or where they're running, one behind the other. And that's the relationship. That's how they're dancing with each other. So today we said we're going to look at actions, dynamics, space, relationships, and design in space. And you can see we've broken down some of those a little bit further with some subheadings we're going to discuss. First of our actions is locomotor movements. And as the picture indicates, locomotor movements are movements occurring through space. For a locomotor movement to happen, you have to have started in one place and moved somehow to another space. There are a variety of different ways you can move. You can walk, run, leap, hop, jump, skip, gallop, slide, and this is by no means a definitive list. There are many other ways that you can move from one place to another place. But that is the definition of a locomotor movement, from one place to another place. Axial movements, on the other hand, take place along the spine or the axis. So in these movements, the feet stay in the same place, but the spine or axis moves. So you remain standing in one spot. Some examples here, we can twist, rise, drop, wriggle, bend, flop, slump, etc. I think you can notice by the words that we've got here, though, you can see none of these movements occur through space. They all occur with the feet staying in one position. And that's the difference between axial and locomotor movements. Jumping or elevation occurs when the body leaves and returns to the floor using the feet and legs as springs. Different types of jumps are achieved by using either foot or both feet for taking off and landing. And variations are also achieved through the size, height, length, direction, body shape, power, and leg gestures while in the air. So from this quote by Payne, we can see there are a variety of different ways that you could jump. Your size of jump might be different to somebody else's, the direction, the height, the body shape, etc. So even though I ask two people to jump, they could create totally different shapes and ways of jumping. Some different ways we can jump. We can hop from one foot to the same foot. We can leap, which is from one foot to the other foot. We can spring, when both feet jump to both feet. We can hopscotch either from one foot to both feet or from both feet to one foot. So even in the subpoints there, you can see the variety of different ways to create a jump that again is going to create interest and variety in the dance that you create. Turning involves rotation around an axis. Variation is achieved by the body shape, the size of rotation, and rotations can be a quarter, half, 3/4, or the whole way. And rotations, of course, can also use one or both feet. They can use different levels. We'll talk about what levels are in a minute. And they can be of different speeds. So again, there are ways that we can create a variety of different turns. Stillness. Guys, really important in dance is to create moments of stillness, like in music where we have moments where there are rests. Stillness is important for your audience members because they need time to process what they've seen, and if you move continually, they don't really have that opportunity. So stillness is the ability to control equilibrium or to stop a movement. Very important in dance. Here is a table from Pain with a variety of different action words that you can use. So travel, which is our locomotor movements. We can have walking, creeping, darting, staggering, and so on. Turning, which we've spoken about, different ways to turn. We can whirl, rotate, spin, spiral, whip, etc. Stillness can just be a pause or a complete stop, a balance, a settle, a wait, a hover, and so on. So subtle differences in those words, but they create different feelings in the dance. Jump, we can spring, we can leap, we can prance, gallop, hop. And we can also create different gestures as we dance. We can punch, contract, reach, quiver, nod, point, wave, crouch, clap, jerk, and so on. So you can see that these words sometimes are quite similar, but have subtle differences that are going to create a variety in the types of dances that we see or create. So what exactly are dynamics? Dynamics refer to how the body moves. According to Pain, dynamic qualities provide the color and texture of movement. Laban, which we're going to deal with in our next lecture or next video, suggested weight, space, time, and flow to describe dynamics. Today, we commonly refer to forward speed and continuity. But as we said, these will be discussed in greater detail in the next video. So there's some different adjectives we can use to describe dynamics. Here are just a few ideas: melting, crumpling, floppy, tense, mechanical, sharp, etc. So if we think about doing something simple like a walk, if I ask you to walk in a floppy way, for example, that would be the dynamic. And a floppy walk would look very, very different to a bouncy walk, for example, or a heavy walk, or a gentle walk, or a jerky walk. So you can see by adding dynamics to the movements that we've got, we can create very different kinds of movements. Space refers to where the body moves. It is the visual design of the dance, according to Pain. And of course, important is direction. When we're moving, we can move in many different directions, which again, create variety and interest in the movement that you're doing. You can do a movement forwards, backwards, sideways, diagonally, up, down, towards, or away from. Once the directions have been practiced, we can think about combining these to create patterns. So patterns are the shapes we're going to make on the floor with the movements that we make. Patterns can be created on the floor, as just discussed, but of course could also be created in the air by moving the body. Here's some examples of pattern. We can move in a straight direction, we can move curved, circular, zigzag, or erratic. And erratic is not that shape. Erratic means you're going to move wherever you feel like. So you're going to create a different shape every time. So another way to create interest and variety in a dance is by using different levels. Within the personal space, variety can be created by using different levels. And there are three main levels involved in dance. First of all, we're going to have high. High is where you are elevated. So perhaps you are jumping up or stretching up, but you are more elevated than you would normally be. And this is normally elevation of the whole or part of the body. A middle level is going to be between crouching down and standing up. And our lowest level is going to be close to the floor or in contact with the floor. So somewhere from slithering or sliding along the floor, which would be sort of the lowest level you could get to, all the way up to crouching. It is important to explore all three levels in dance, and movement is seldom done on one level alone, so moving between the levels should also be practiced and encouraged. Some activities you can do for level, low level, we've got crawling, slithering, wriggling, sitting, crouching, rolling, dragging, sliding. All of those movements close to the ground. Middle level, crouching to standing up, we've got kneeling, standing, gliding, traveling. Any kind of local motor movement would fit in here as long as we're doing it at a middle level, which is between crouching and standing. And finally, our high level. High level would be things like jumping, skipping, hopping, leaping, flying. And I like the picture to the right because you can see the dancers in this are all at different levels. So from the left, which is at our sort of quite high level, we've got two dancers there that are elevated. Then we've got two people at our middle level, and then one at the low level. Here's another visual representation of space. So there we've got our levels, low, medium, high, directions, shape, formations, design, personal and general, pathways, position and proximity, and the size of movement or shape. So you can see we've got such a variety of ways that we can move using space, which again are going to create interest in the movement that you create. So don't always think about standing up and moving forwards. Why not integrate some different directions, some different levels, some different movements to create variety? Relationships is how we dance with others or how dancers move with each other. Relationships create variety and interest in dancers again and can support the meaning or idea of the dance. So some different ways we can use relationships. We can copy, so you can have somebody doing a movement and someone else copying or mirroring them. Action and reaction. One dancer moves and the other responds to the first movement. We can have complementary shapes and actions, which occur when one dancer echoes another by creating a similar but not identical shape or action. We could have counterpoint. This is when we have two dancers who are dancing different dances that are, so they're unique, but they somehow fit in with each other or work together. And of course, we can have unison, where two or more dancers are doing exactly the same thing. Here are some different relationships we can utilize in dance. In terms of position, if we have more than one dancer, they can stand side by side, back to back, one behind the other. They can face each other. They can be near to each other or far from each other. In terms of contact, there's some different ways that the two or more people can relate to each other. Devices, we've just spoken about some of those. Time, they can be in unison. Or canon. Canon is when they do the same dance but start at different times. If we have 4 members of our group, we can use them in a number of different ways. We can have 4 all doing the same thing. We can have 2 groups of 2. We can have 4 groups of 1. Or we can have 1 group of 3 and 1 group of 1. So again, lots of variety that have been created in a dance by using different relationships. Finally, we speak about design and space. This is when we use the body to create some sort of shape. And bodies, of course, can make the shape on their own or in relation to other people's shapes. So shape involves the positions and ways in which the body is used. Alter shape by changing the position of the body or body parts. The body can be curved or twisted, angular or straight, symmetrical or asymmetrical. And we have 4 basic shapes that we're going to talk about. The first is the wall shape. This is flat, open and symmetrical. It creates a strong barricade or blocking effect And as an expression, it's powerful and barrier-like, literally like a wall. Our second is the pin or arrow shape. It's a narrow pin-like shape vertically or horizontally, and it produces a penetrating, splitting quality. It expresses strength. It's a strong shape, but it is more actively aggressive than the wall shape. We have the ball shape. This is small and curled and close to the floor. And if you compare it to the wall in the pin shape, it is much less strong. So it's a sort of shrinking away from a defensive attitude. So it contrasts with the wall and pin shapes. Finally, we have the twisted or screw-like shape. This involves a twist in the trunk area of the body, so the shape created is asymmetrical. It often can be used to express anguish or conflict as one part of the body moves against the other. For example, the body twisting against the feet.